Java, demonstrating the worker class and saving objects to an array. Okay, in our previous segment here, we created that worker class. So the first thing we need to do in our code is bring that class into our program. So as you see right here, here's our worker. So here was our code, our source code for that. And we're going to import that right here. So we can actually use worker now within our main program. So let's go down to the bottom part of the program here and actually see it in action. So in this segment of code here, we're going to create one worker. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same steps. Okay, here's the name of our class, worker. I'm going to call it W1 for worker 1. Okay, you can name that anything you like, equals new worker. Okay, so what happens when we do that? Look what happens here. I'll show you here on the pop-up menu. We're going to simply do W1 dot, okay, and you can see all of the ones. Okay, here's the get company, get salary, but you notice here, there's the get city, okay, get full name, here's the set first name, last name, okay, salary. So you can see here, these are all, it had picked up all of the person ones along with adding our company and salary functions. So let's walk the code. Here's where we're going to do set first name, that came from the person class. Set last name, that came from the person class. Set company, that came from the worker class. Set salary, that came from the worker class. Okay, putting the values in. And here we're going to pull out, we're going to store it here in our one string variable here, the full name and the salary. We're going to concatenate the salary on that. And then we'll just go ahead and print that out. So if we run that, I'll go ahead and run that here. It actually printed out right over here. So it uses the very same steps that we did in person. So let's now deal with putting a worker or a set of workers in an array. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up our data type or class. Look here, right here. That's the exact same nomenclature, the exact same syntax that we used in our previous arrays. Okay, I'm going to call this array workers. Okay, you can call this anything you want, so your name goes here. New. Okay, there's our class name, and then here's our array. I'm putting in here, this array is going to store 3 workers. Now, for grins and giggles, I want to arbitrarily create a new worker here and store it into the first element. So workers slot 0, we're going to create a new worker to put into that. You need some data here, so we're going to set his first name. Okay, so we're going to go first set workers 0. We're going to put Billy workers. Okay, box 0. Set the last name. Last name is the kid. And here we can actually print that out. So we're going to call up, here's our array, slot 0, get full name. And that's going to actually print out that name for us. If you want to sort of see what that looks like, we'll simply here do this here. We'll do workers. See how the dot comes up here? And it brings up our different sets and gets. Okay. Now for grins and giggles here, let's set this up and put three brand new workers into our array. So what we're going to do here is I got it set up in a for statement. So we've got our counters going on. Okay. Workers.length, since it's one-dimensional here, that length will work just fine. It'll give us the value of 3. So, exact same steps. Worker. Here's our counter. It's going to be at 0. New worker. Okay, so it's going to create a brand new person. It's going to put it in that first slot. Here we're asking for their first name. Okay, I'm going to read this in. So here's our first 0 slot. We're going to set the first name. So how we're going to get that? We're going to read in from a scanner the next line, okay, to a string. Okay, so we're taking the keyboard input right here, making sure it's in a string, and we're storing that in the set first name. And this first worker there is going to be in slot 0. Now we're going to do the exact same thing here for the last name. So we're doing a system line out. We're going to ask for the last name, workers, slot 0. Okay, read the information in. We're also going to ask for a company name, exact same steps. Okay, now down here we're going to ask for a double. Okay, so we're going to ask for the salary. And I've got this wrapped up in a try and catch, okay, because somebody could try to put in a $sign. They could actually try typing in a string like bananas, okay, and that would crash it. So we're actually just going to bulletproof it here a little bit here with a try and catch. So they're going to read in the next double. Okay, so the scanner is going to bring in that number, but it's still going to leave the return. So in order to get rid of that return, flush that return, we're going to scan a next line, which will get rid of that return. Otherwise, if I try to enter something that's not, it's going to go ahead and say, could not enter the data. Okay, clear the return, and we're back for the next employee. So let's see it in action here. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to run the program. We had it run before here, so it's going to compile over here. I'll go ahead and make this bigger here. We can actually see it work here. So I'm going to rerun the program. So now here it's asking me for my first name. So we're going to do Joe. Last name is Fats. Okay, he works for the billiard company. He makes about 40,000. Okay, so now it's asking for a second name here. We're going to do Bubba Jones Big Arm Security Company. He makes that much. I'm going to do John Smith. He works for the Smith Company. And so you can see the try and catch work in there. He gets paid in bananas. So you see here we actually had our error statement come up. Right here. So it just basically said, hey, no salary information was entered. And in our for statement, let's go back and look at the code here. I have a for statement to print it out. And that's what we're seeing right here in our for statement. So we'll basically set up a for statement here. I'm concatenating a string. So here's workers at the index. They get the full name. Workers get the salary. Workers get the company name. Okay, concatenating that into all one long string and then printing it out here. So that's how we can save objects to an array and print them out.